So this is the SJCAM SJ8 Pro, a competitor to the GoPro Hero 6 Black, but does it win or does it lose? Let's find out. So in terms of the body of the SJCAM is made of rubber, and to be honest, it doesn't feel super high quality. It feels pretty average for an action camera. Definitely feels lower quality than the GoPro Hero 6. And the other thing is that this is not a waterproof case. Also, you need a waterproof case that comes included with your package. And the other cool thing is that it does have a waterproof touchscreen, which is actually pretty sick, and I'll explain more about that later. But more about this action camera, it is pretty light. At the bottom, you do have a 1/4-inch screw that you can use to screw into different mounts. And on the top, you have your record and your power button on the side and the touchscreen at the back. And on the front here, you do have an extra screen that you can use, especially when you're doing selfie videos. You can see the status of the actual screen. For example, you can see the resolution, 4K Ultra. You can see the time and whether it's recording or not. And you can see the battery life as well as the number of gigabytes you have left. So let me click record and you'll see what it looks like. So as I click record, you'll see that it starts recording and you can see that the timer goes up. So you do know that it is recording, which is nice. And the little light here does blink also. And here you can see that the top light is blue and the side light is red to indicate that it is on. And on the back here is the interface that we can talk about later also. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the waterproof case. So the last thing I tested in this SJCAM was the waterproofing, because I wanted to make sure that if I tested it and it failed, I had all the rest of my footage that I needed. So it does work, which is nice. And the waterproof case does make sure it's waterproof up to about 10 meters. And I left it in a bucket of water for about half an hour and absolutely no water entered. And the cool thing here is this waterproof case that is included. You can actually replace it with the back cover. And this waterproof case, unfortunately, does not work underwater, but it does work above water. And as you can see, this thing is basically a piece of plastic so that you can touch it and it will work, which is pretty sick. But to be honest, this thing feels a little bit scary, because if this thing punctures, you're dead. Water's gonna get in and your SJCAM is just gonna die. So do I recommend using this in, watery conditions? I don't know. If you're using it in rainy conditions, that should be okay. But if you're using it underwater and something punctures it, you're done. This camera is toast. So talking a little bit about the SJCAM while using inside the waterproof case, you can turn it on with this button over here, but you cannot actually do much else because you only have one extra button here that you can use unless you use the touch case, of course. And here you can record and stop recording, but in order to do anything else, you have to open up the case. And I did read in the manual that they wanted you to have this case undone when you were not recording, because it would start condensing inside. And it did start condensing inside, and it started making some of the footage a little bit blurry, which is a little bit disappointing. And the other thing as well is that you really cannot hear what's going on when you're inside this waterproof case, so it's really not that great for sound either. All right, so in terms of battery life here, the SJCAM was able to record about an hour of 4K footage at 30 FPS. 60 FPS, it dropped to about 45 minutes, which is actually not bad at all. I was surprised by the amount of battery life I was able to get with the SJCAM SJ8 Pro. I was expecting pretty much half of that. So battery life here is definitely pretty good. And of course, if we drop it to 1080p, you can get almost double that battery life. You can get maybe 2 hours of recording, which is also not bad as well. You can control the SJCAM using your smartphone, and it works decent, just like pretty much every other GoPro app out there. So let's talk video quality, and it's impressive, I gotta say that. The amount of detail it captures is frankly quite mind-boggling when you consider it costs just $250. I will say that if you are moving very fast, I'm talking like jogging at a good clip, at least like 20 kilometers an hour, you do get a loss in video quality because there is a bit of artifacting in the camera. Probably has to keep the bitrate the same so it takes in less detail per frame. Where the SJCAM lags behind the competition is dynamic range and contrast. I found the colors on the SJCAM to be less saturated, and there was less detail in the shadows and highlights compared to the GoPro, and that is the most visible difference between the GoPro and the SJCAM. The SJCAM's footage looks fine, but still the GoPro footage looks better. One more thing to talk about is the electronic image stabilization. It does work in 4K resolution, and it combines a 10% crop with a gyroscope to stabilize the footage, and it does an okay job. It's not amazing, but it's fine. I did notice that whenever you turn the camera off, the gyro turns off also, and you have to manually turn it back on if you want to use it, which is super annoying. Of course, the gyro cannot handle speeds higher than 20 kilometers per hour. As you can see here, I was scooting at 20 kilometers an hour on my scooter, and it's pretty shaky. And while we are watching this clip, let's notice the footage is a little bit misty. That's because of the waterproof case, and the case does fog up. It's not as bad as other action cameras, but it's definitely noticeable. Again, inside the waterproof case, the microphone is super soft. Outside it's okay, but audio quality that is picked up is not great quality. It's adequate at best.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Toronto. It's a beautiful day here, and as you can see, the fields are yellow with dandelions. They're so beautiful until they become weeds and completely destroy your landscape, but whatever, it looks nice right now. I'm currently taking a walk with my dog, and I'm currently filming with the SJCAM SJ8 Pro, so enjoy this video.
Filming at 60 FPS slightly lowers the quality of the 4K video to maintain the same bitrate, but it's still good quality, and the 60 FPS footage is quite smooth. Lowering it to 1080p gives you 120 FPS, which again, the detail is lowered a lot, but it's still a nice, smooth experience. Finally, low light. Actually, not even low light. Let's just talk about indoors, and the video quality takes a nosedive. Lots of grain, lots of noise, and it's difficult to get good quality footage at all, which sucks. Taking photos has basically the exact same strengths and weaknesses as the video. The amount of detail is again mind-bogglingly good, but the dynamic range and contrast is lacking. Again, it's not horrible, it's just not amazing. So what are my thoughts regarding the SJCAM SJ8 Pro? Is it worth the price of $250? And in my opinion, definitely yes. Because if you're thinking about what you get with the action camera, you get a whole bunch of accessories that comes inside this massive box over here. And you also get your waterproof case, which you do not get with the GoPro Hero 6. That being said, the GoPro Hero 6 is waterproof already, but you do get a ton of accessories that you would otherwise have to buy if you had to buy the GoPro Hero 6. I'm not saying that you should buy this over the GoPro Hero 6, but I am saying that the SJCAM definitely is a better value proposition than the GoPro. It is $250, and in terms of detail, it actually matches the GoPro Hero 6. However, we're talking about dynamic range and contrast. The SJCAM does lose to the GoPro, but again, this is $250, half the price of the GoPro, and I really do recommend this camera because it is good. It's not as good as, for example, let's say an iPhone 8 or an iPhone X in terms of video capture at 4K, but it is a pretty decent device. So let me know what you think in the comments down below about the SJCAM SJ8 Pro. I would love to hear your thoughts, and be sure to click the like and subscribe button, and be sure to hit the notification bell to make sure you're notified of any of the latest videos that come out on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.